Genesis 21. Abraham says goodbye to Ishmael, but gives him the worst parting gift ever. And guess who just got pregnant at the ripe age of 90? Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. The Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. That sentence is doing a lot of heavy lifting. What did God do exactly? Did he work in mysterious ways? Did Sarah say his name a lot? Did he bring Abraham some Viagra? I mean, no one was suggesting this was a virgin birth. Maybe they had a holy trinity. How come every time God helps a Bible character have a baby, it's a son? That's statistically unlikely. Why does the Bible hate math? At least Abraham thanked God by giving him more infant foreskin. God can never have enough baby penis parts. And that's just a normal thing associated with the Old Testament. Isaac, by the way, means he laughs, which is the most appropriate reaction for everything we're reading. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." Oh yeah, we're definitely laughing. With you, not so much, but definitely laughing. And yes, Abraham is 100 now, so he's definitely old. But just for context, remember that because of all that biblical genealogy we were exposed to earlier, we know that his great-great-great-great-grandfather, Eber, is still alive. So relatively speaking, Abraham is like an ancient millennial. The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." Is this a thing people do? Hold a giant party for your child on the exact day he stops breastfeeding? Didn't know that was a thing. Pretty sure the party should be for the mother in that case. What did Ishmael do? What did Ishmael say? He was apparently mocking Sarah's son Isaac, but we're never told how. Your mama's so old she got her Bible autographed. Mocking each other is what kids do. They tease each other. Calling for eternal banishment seems like a bit much. And what is with Sarah's jealousy again? She's banished Hagar before too. If you don't like your slave, just release her. Let her be free. And let's pause and reflect on how Sarah just told her brother husband to abandon his son. I know married couples fight about a lot of things, but if you're telling your brother husband to kick out his child because you're no longer besties with his mother, who, by the way, is a slave whom you gave your brother husband permission to impregnate, then maybe divorce is not the worst option. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Oh my God! God is telling Abraham to abandon his son. Tragic foreshadowing right there, because abandoning his children, forsaking them, if you will, when they need him the most, is sort of God's thing. Is anyone surprised that on a rather simple moral question, God found a way to be just hideously wrong? But at least God offers a parting gift. If you abandon your son and your slave woman, God calls her a slave woman, then I'll take care of them. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water, and he gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bowshot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there, she began to sob. So Abraham, the crappy daddy, gave some food and water to his slave and then got rid of her and his son. He didn't even give her some diapers or a note that says, Ishmael, here's how to find me when you're older. No mementos, just food and water that'll be gone in minutes. With an attitude like that, you can just tell the only contact he's ever gonna have with Ishmael is when he sends him $5 every year on his birthday. And what the hell is Hagar doing? My water is gone. I guess the boy has to die now. Maybe you should ration better. Maybe you should keep walking and look for a river or an oasis. Maybe you shouldn't have wandered into a desert. I'm hardly Father of the Year, but if I'm thirsty and there's nothing in the house, I promise you my first thought would not be, son, it was nice knowing you. Happy last birthday. There's a weird contradiction we need to discuss too. How old is Ishmael? Because in Genesis 17, it said Abraham circumcised Ishmael when he was 13 and Abraham was 99. Well, now Abraham is 100, so Ishmael must be about 14, right? But now you're telling me his mother left him under a shrub to die? I don't think the Bible knows if this guy's an infant or a teenager. God heard the boy crying. And the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. So God heard the boy crying and poofed a well into existence. Could God not do that before she was ready to sacrifice the baby? Why wait until the last second? Tragic foreshadowing. Unless, of course, Hagar found the well by herself, since it was right there. And God's just taking the credit. God would totally take the credit. And what's up with the passage of time there? Within a couple of sentences, we go from a nearly dead infant / teenager child to a guy who shoots things with a bow and arrow to a guy marrying someone his mother bought for him. I don't like wearing clothes my mother buys for me, but this guy's gonna marry someone his mommy bought at the market? How long was she on the shelf? Even as a brown person, I'm gonna say, I'm not sure how that arranged marriage is gonna work out. I think even the Bible's writers know this storyline is not going so well, so they're gonna switch gears completely now. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me, or my children, or my descendants. Show to me and the country where you now reside as a foreigner the same kindness I have shown to you. Why is Abimelech in this story? Last time we saw him, he was angry at Abraham for lying to him, then shooed him away with gifts. Now he's back and he wants some favors? I guess we should give him credit though. Abimelech learned his lesson and he's like, you're not lying to me again. Not while God is watching. But okay, they've made a pact. Abraham nearly killed Abimelech last time by letting Abimelech have his way with Abraham's sister wife Sarah, but there's a truce now. They've exchanged goods and land, and Abimelech says, let's be allies and you can live in my kingdom, Gerar. They're buddies now. The only thing that can ruin this is a petty fight. Abraham said, I swear it. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today. they're fighting again over the ownership of a well. So much for that friendship. Abimelech is saying, well? What well? I don't know about a well. This better not be another lie. So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock, and Abimelech asked Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves?" He replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." So that place was called Beersheba, because the two men swore an oath there. Here are some baby lambs. You love baby lambs. Now tell the world I made this well. I thought the place was already called Beersheba. Unless they're naming it now and the earlier section was an anachronism. Because you know what would make the Bible easier to understand? Going out of chronological order. Whatever the case, Beersheba means well of the oath. I didn't realize that phrase needed a word, but there you go. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. The land of the Philistines? That's weird, since the Philistines don't arrive here for another 800 years or so. More anachronisms! I wonder if that tree in Beersheba is the same as the shrub Ishmael nearly died under. If so, this chapter's time warps are getting very confusing. The Bible turned into an episode of Lost. We should have started from the middle and then looped back around to the beginning. Then this would have made a little more sense. But again, that's what happens when you don't hire editors. So what can we take from this chapter? God has given Sarah a baby boy. God has given Abraham a baby well. Everyone is happy. Good thing God would never ask Abraham to do anything evil to Isaac.